Is getting up from your chair becoming a struggle? Do grocery bags feel heavier than they used to? It's not your imagination. After 50, your muscles are being silently attacked every single day, and the worst part, you don't even realize what's happening until it's too late. Are you experiencing unexplained fatigue? Risk finding it harder to climb stairs? Noticing your clothes fitting differently even though your weight hasn't changed? These aren't simply signs of getting older. They're warning signals that silent assassins are actively destroying your muscle tissue right now. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the 5 hidden factors that are devouring your muscle mass at this very moment. What you'll discover isn't just about looking better. It's about maintaining your independence, preventing falls, and ensuring you can continue doing the activities you love for decades to come. And I promise, by the end of this video, you'll have a complete action plan to not only stop this destruction, but actually rebuild what you thought was lost forever. The science is undeniable. Beginning at age 40, we naturally lose between 3% to 8% of muscle mass per decade. After 70, that number jumps to a staggering 15% every 10 years. This condition, sarcopenia, isn't just about strength. It's directly linked to increased mortality rates, metabolic disorders, and loss of independence. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society followed 2,290 adults over 65 and found that those with the lowest muscle mass had mortality rates nearly 0.3 times higher than those with preserved muscle. Yet here's what most healthcare providers aren't telling you. This loss can be dramatically accelerated by everyday factors that fly completely under the radar. What makes these muscle-destroying factors so dangerous is their invisibility. Unlike a broken bone or an infection, muscle loss happens microscopically, day after day, without obvious symptoms until significant damage has occurred. By the time most people notice something's wrong, they've already lost 20 to 30% of their functional muscle tissue. But here's the good news. Cutting-edge research from institutions like the Buck Institute for Research on Aging has demonstrated that not only can we slow this process, we can actually reverse significant portions of age-related muscle loss with the right interventions. Today, I'll reveal exactly what those interventions are, starting with the most devastating of these silent assassins. The first and most destructive muscle assassin is chronic sedentarism. Your muscular system operates on a fundamental biological principle: use it or lose it. When you spend hours sitting watching TV, scrolling on your phone, or working at a computer, your muscles receive a clear biochemical message: we are unnecessary for survival. The science here is shocking. A 2019 study in the Journal of Physiology found that just 2 weeks of reduced physical activity caused up to 4% muscle loss in adults over 65. That's equivalent to losing 2 years' worth of natural muscle in just 14 days. And even more concerning, research from the University of Copenhagen demonstrated this loss happens 3 times faster in older adults than in younger populations. At the cellular level, here's what happens. Extended sedentary behavior reduces protein synthesis signals while simultaneously increasing breakdown pathways. Your muscle fibers literally begin to shrink in both size and number. The specialized mitochondria, the power plants within your muscle cells, become dysfunctional and decrease in quantity. The result: not only do you lose strength, but your muscles become less efficient at burning calories, creating a vicious cycle of further weakness and potential weight gain. Practical demonstration. Here's what you can implement today. For every hour seated, commit to 5 minutes of movement. This doesn't mean formal exercise. Simply walking around your home, marching in place, or doing 5 to 10 gentle chair squats sends powerful biochemical signals that protect your muscle tissue. Dr. Stuart Phillips, director of the Physical Activity Center of Excellence, recommends what he calls exercise snacking, brief, frequent movement sessions throughout the day. His research shows these short bursts can be more effective for maintaining muscle in older adults than a single longer workout. The minimum effective dose to structured resistance training sessions weekly, even if that's simply bodyweight exercises like wall push-ups, chair squats, and standing leg raises. The key is progressive overload, gradually increasing the challenge to your muscles over time. The second silent assassin is chronic protein deficiency. After 50, your body undergoes a critical change in how it processes protein, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. This means you become less efficient at utilizing protein for muscle maintenance precisely when you need it most. While a younger adult requires approximately 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Research from the Protein Summit 2.0 published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition concluded that after 50, that requirement increases to 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram. This means a 70 kilograms, 154 pounds person needs between 84 to 105 grams of protein daily. Let's translate this into real food. One egg contains about 6 grams protein, a medium chicken breast provides 30 grams, a serving of beans delivers 15 grams, and a typical Greek yogurt offers 15 to 20 grams. Yet studies show the average protein intake for adults over 65 is just 58 grams per day for men and 47 grams for women, creating a constant deficit. Even more critical than total amount is protein distribution. Research from the University of Texas Medical Branch reveals that consuming at least 25 to 30 grams of protein in a single meal optimally stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Yet many older adults consume minimal protein at breakfast, typically under 10 grams, slightly more at lunch, and only hit adequate levels at dinner, leaving muscles undernourished for much of the day. Practical meal planning example: here's a strategic approach. First, ensure each meal contains a high-quality protein source. Second, prioritize leucine-rich proteins. This essential amino acid is the primary trigger for muscle protein synthesis. Excellent sources include dairy products, eggs, meat, fish, and soy. Third, consider a protein supplement if meeting needs through food alone is challenging. A high-quality whey protein provides a convenient way to boost intake, especially at breakfast when protein consumption is typically lowest. Dr. Stuart Phillips recommends this simple rule: palm, plate, and distribute. Eat a palm-sized portion of protein at each meal. Fill your plate with colorful vegetables and whole foods, and distribute your protein intake evenly throughout the day. The third muscle assassin operates like a slow-burning fire within your tissues: chronic low-grade inflammation. With aging, your body naturally develops a persistent inflammatory state that researchers have termed inflammaging, and it is devastating to your muscle tissue. Cellular imagery of inflammatory biomarkers studies measuring inflammatory biomarkers like C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha show these compounds directly interfere with the pathways that build and maintain muscle. A landmark study in the Journal of Gerontology demonstrated that adults with elevated inflammatory markers had up to 40% faster rates of muscle loss over a 10-year period. Certain dietary patterns dramatically worsen this inflammation. Excess refined sugar, processed flour, industrially processed vegetable oils, and ultra-processed foods create the perfect inflammatory storm. These foods trigger the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines that directly attack muscle tissue while simultaneously blunting anabolic signaling. This inflammation doesn't just destroy existing muscle, it actively prevents the formation of new tissue by interfering with stem cells called satellite cells, which are essential for muscle repair and growth. The result is a devastating cycle of accelerated muscle loss. The good news. Research published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition shows that dietary patterns rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds can significantly reduce these inflammatory markers and protect muscle tissue. The Mediterranean diet consistently shows the strongest evidence for combating inflammaging. Focus on berries, especially blueberries and strawberries, deeply colored vegetables, omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish and walnuts, extra virgin olive oil, and spices like turmeric and ginger, which contain potent anti-inflammatory compounds. Dr. Luigi Ferrucci, scientific director of the National Institute on Aging, recommends what he calls the colors against inflammation approach, consuming at least 4 to 5 different colored plant foods daily to maximize your intake of anti-inflammatory compounds. The fourth silent assassin may surprise you: vitamin D deficiency. A groundbreaking study published in JAMA Internal Medicine revealed that up to 77% of adults over 65 have insufficient vitamin D levels, with over 30% being severely deficient. Graph showing correlation between vitamin D levels and muscle strength. The relationship between vitamin D and muscle function is profound. Your muscle cells contain specific vitamin D receptors that, when activated, trigger pathways essential for protein synthesis, muscle contraction, and overall muscle health. Research from the Society of Endocrinology shows that sufficient vitamin D levels can increase muscle strength by up to 19% in deficient older adults. At the cellular level, vitamin D regulates calcium transport within muscle fibers, a critical process for muscle contraction. It also modulates the expression of over 900 genes, many directly involved in muscle metabolism and function. Perhaps most importantly, vitamin D helps regulate the activation and differentiation of satellite cells, the stem cells responsible for muscle repair and growth. Sun exposure is the most natural source of vitamin D, but 3 factors make this problematic for older adults. First, aging skin produces up to 75% less vitamin D from the same amount of sun exposure compared to younger skin. Second, many older adults spend less time outdoors. Third, concerns about skin cancer have led to increased sunscreen use, which blocks vitamin D production. Here's a comprehensive approach to optimizing vitamin D. First, get your levels tested. The optimal range for muscle health appears to be between 40 to 60 ng/ml, 100 to 115 ml, significantly higher than standard sufficient levels. Second, aim for 15 to 20 minutes of sun exposure during midday hours on arms and legs without sunscreen, being careful not to burn. Third, include dietary sources like fatty fish, egg yolks, and UV-exposed mushrooms. Finally, most adults over 60 will require supplementation, typically between 1,000 to 4,000 U daily depending on baseline levels. Under medical supervision, Dr. Michael Holick, one of the world's leading vitamin D researchers, suggests this simple test. If your shadow is longer than your height, you're not making significant vitamin D from the sun. This visualization can help you determine optimal sun exposure timing. The fifth and final muscle assassin works as a powerful dual threat: chronic stress and poor sleep quality. These 2 factors are intimately connected and form a devastating partnership against your muscle mass. Chronic stress elevates cortisol levels, which, when persistently high, becomes catabolic, meaning it breaks down tissues, particularly muscle. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that elevated cortisol levels increased muscle protein breakdown by up to 21%, while simultaneously decreasing protein synthesis by 17%. Poor sleep amplifies this problem dramatically. During deep, slow-wave sleep, your body releases the majority of its growth hormone, essential for muscle repair and maintenance. A study from the University of Chicago found that just 1 week of sleep restriction reduced muscle protein synthesis by 18% and increased inflammatory markers by over 20%. The mechanism is complex but clear. Inadequate sleep disrupts glucose metabolism, increases cortisol production, reduces testosterone and growth hormone release, and elevates systemic inflammation, creating a perfect storm for accelerated muscle loss. Even more concerning, disrupted circadian rhythms, your body's internal 24-hour clock, directly impact the expression of thousands of genes involved in muscle maintenance. Research from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that circadian disruption altered the expression of over 20% of genes involved in muscle function and repair. Here are science-backed solutions. First, implement a consistent sleep-wake schedule, even on weekends. Your muscles quite literally repair according to this internal clock. Second, create a pre-sleep routine that includes reducing blue light exposure from screens at least 60 minutes before bed. Blue light specifically suppresses melatonin production, which not only affects sleep quality, but also directly impacts muscle repair processes. Third, practice evidence-based stress reduction techniques. The mindfulness-based stress reduction program developed at the University of Massachusetts Medical School has been shown to reduce cortisol levels by up to 20% after 8 weeks of regular practice. Dr. Matthew Walker, professor of neuroscience at UC Berkeley and author of Why We Sleep, recommends this practical approach. Keep your bedroom cool around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius, completely dark and quiet. These environmental factors dramatically improve the quality of slow-wave sleep, the phase most critical for muscle recovery. Split screen showing all 5 assassins and their solutions. Now that you understand the 5 silent assassins destroying your muscle mass, let's build a comprehensive action plan to not just preserve but potentially rebuild your muscle tissue. Movement strategy. Implement movement breaks every 60 minutes during waking hours. Perform structured resistance training 2 to 3 times weekly. Focusing on compound movements, begin with bodyweight exercises. If you're new to resistance training, include at least 1 carry exercise weekly, like farmers' walks with groceries or water bottles, to build functional strength. Track your progress with simple strength tests. Monthly time to rise from chair 5 times. Grip strength, etc. Protein optimization. Calculate your personal protein needs, 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. Distribute protein intake across all meals, aiming for 25 to 30 grams per meal. Prioritize leucine-rich protein sources: dairy, eggs, meat, fish, soy. Consider a high-quality protein supplement for convenience, especially at breakfast. Combine protein with resistance exercise. Research shows this combination is 25% more effective than either strategy alone. Inflammation control. Eliminate or dramatically reduce ultra-processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and industrial seed oils. Consume 7 to 9 servings of colorful fruits and vegetables daily. Include fatty fish 2 to 3 times weekly or supplement with high-quality omega-3 South. Use herbs and spices liberally, especially turmeric, ginger, garlic, and cinnamon. Consider periodic 12 to 16-hour fasting windows, which research shows can reduce inflammatory markers by up to 40%. Vitamin D protocol. Get baseline levels tested and monitor every 6 months. Aim for 15 to 20 minutes of direct sunlight exposure during midday hours. When possible, supplement according to your tested levels. Typically 1,000 to 4,000 U daily for most older adults. Include vitamin K2 with your vitamin D supplement, as this improves utilization. Consume vitamin D-rich foods like fatty fish, egg yolks, and UV-exposed mushrooms. Stress and sleep optimization. Establish a consistent sleep-wake schedule 7 days per week. Create a 30 to 60-minute wind-down routine before bedtime. Practice mindfulness meditation, deep breathing, or progressive muscle relaxation for 10 minutes daily. Optimize your sleep environment: cool, dark, quiet, and free from electronics. Consider tracking sleep quality with a wearable device or app to identify improvement opportunities. Remember, muscle loss is not inevitable. Dr. Tanya Dorf at the City of Hope Comprehensive Cancer Center has found that even 90-year-olds can gain significant muscle with the right interventions. Some of my own clients in their 70s have regained strength levels they hadn't experienced since their 50s. The key is consistency and understanding that these 5 factors work synergistically. Addressing all of them creates exponentially better results than tackling just one or two. The knowledge I've shared today can literally transform how you age. The difference between a dependent 75-year-old and an independent, vibrant one often comes down to these 5 factors we've discussed. When implemented correctly, this comprehensive approach doesn't just preserve muscle, it can help you reclaim strength you thought was lost forever. My oldest client, at 83, went from needing help to stand up from a chair to hiking with his grandchildren just 6 months after implementing these strategies. If this content was valuable to you, help me share this crucial message with more people who need it. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos on health and longevity.